Good morning all, and welcome back to the next exciting round of Tantra, the Leadership Talk series organized by Invicta, the Operations and Consulting Club of GIM. It's great to see such enthusiasm as we continue diving into thought-provoking discussion on leveraging technology for business growth. For this session, we are honored to have with us our esteemed speaker, Mr. Rohit Kilam, our faculty mentor, Dr. Vishwesh, Professor Manas Mayur, PGDM Program Chair. Mr. Rohit Kilam is the CTO at HDFC Life with over 25 years of experience in technology leadership across Europe, India, Southeast Asia. Mr. Rohit has worked with some of the brightest minds in the technology and financial sectors. As the driving force behind digital transformation and innovation at HDFC Life, he specializes in building fintech products and platforms using cutting-edge technology like AI, cloud, IoT, and analytics. Beyond his corporate leadership, he is also an advisor and investor mentoring startups in deep tech and fintech, helping shape the future of financial services. Today, he will be sharing his insights on amplifying revenue in digital age, a topic that is more relevant than ever in today's rapidly evolving business landscape. Without further ado, let's welcome Rohit sir.
Good morning. Hi. How are you guys doing? One after another sessions, Gyan and Gyan, right? I promise we'll make it more informal this time. It will not be a Gyan session in one way. I have a bunch of slides, but I don't want to bore you with them. I'll just take 10-15 minutes to finish them and rather keep it informal. It will be a dialogue rather than a monologue is what I expect. It will be almost like an AMA. I would rather keep it like that. If it's an AMA on topics which I know of, if I don't know, I will humbly say I don't know, but mostly around, if you want to discuss anything around fintechs, insurance, financial services, obviously technology. That's my passion. Technology across and how it is applied. So we'll keep that as informal. I promise that to you. Guys, you also keep it as engaging as possible. Just raise your hand and ask a question. I will be there. Thank you, guys. So, so we've been in middle of a large transformation program in my existing organization. And when I say large transformation program, it's an organization which has 30,000 people. And the large transformation program is when it starts affecting how they work every day. I just want to give you a sense of how and what happens when this kind of a large change is planned across. This is my 4th large digital transformation which I've been working on, right? And each time it's a new time. Each time it's a new way. Each time it's a new technology. Each time it's a new process of implementing a large transformation, right? When you when you walk into your corporate lives as entrepreneurs or as managers, right, you will realize that there's only one constant, that is change, right? And how do you manage change will define how successful you are in your careers, in your organization. The most successful of the person is not who's the most skilled or who's most the smartest. And that goes for human race as well. The most successful person is one who's able to manage change. Just mull over this thought. How do you look at change? A small change like coming to a new campus, how did you manage? What was your mental state when you came to a new campus first time? Was it, I don't like this, I don't like that. This is good, this is bad. Or how do I adapt to this? How do I optimize on this, what I have on the substrate, right? That's the mindset of a person who's successful versus a mindset of a person who will exist in the corporate world. Yeah, okay, thoda gyan zyada ho gaya, sorry. Okay, so yeah, so coming back to my story, right? So digital transformation, okay. I'm experimenting with the buttons, okay, yeah. So typically most of the large changes which affect organizations are business-led, right? You want, as an organization, one organization wanted to change because it was entering a completely new sector. For example, it was entering aviation sector, or it was getting into mining, versus the other organization which was trying to launch a completely new digital channel to reach to customers, right? So most of the changes are business-led, right? Which business domain that you want to get into. And when you're looking at a business domain, you'll have to have 100% alignment with the business leader that is expecting to change. That means you as an organization, you as a person, has to completely align and buy into that vision, that why that change is required, and that is extremely important. But how do you deliver this kind of a change? It's with talent, the operating model, the technology, and the data. We'll delve into each of them, right? And then you scale part of it, which is change management. Talent is people, right? It is at the end of the day people. I know a lot of people ask me, as a technologist, people may no longer be as relevant as last few years, but I still say it is people who will make the difference. You all, and just a side note, will experience ML bots working with you on your teams in next 1 year. So if you have a 5-people team, you will have 2 bots working with you. That is where the organizations are moving on to. So how comfortable you are with respect to the talent, how do you ensure the skill capabilities are there to execute? How do you personally upgrade your skills, your capabilities for that change? Second is operating model, right? How do you change the operations? How do you change the processes? How will it work? Will it have a new business unit? Will it have a new company? What would be the operating model for doing that? That is the second part of it. Third is technology. And what kind of technology systems are required to build that change, right? And lastly, the data part of it, which is extremely important. We tend to think that data will be there. No, there is a lot of effort required to get the right data in the right form for that change, right? So that's I think, the key parts of how do you make a change happen. And then adoption and scaling part of it, right? How do you scale the change? You may have implemented a new digital platform, but how do you scale it to from one business unit or one channel to 10 channels? How do you do that, right? So there is obviously a lot of evidence and a lot of good management practices on this part of it. Specifically creating a carrot and a stick policy, looking at, I don't want to go there, but yeah, it's a subject in its own from a change management standpoint, right? So first part is creating that transformation. How do you create that kind of a transformation roadmap for the organization? And we spoke about the vision and alignment. This is slightly smaller. I didn't expect this to be that small. Apologies for this, but I'll just read it out for you. So first of all, get the top team inspired. Choose the right transformation bite size. You can't change ki sare ghar ke badal dalunga, right? It will not happen. What is the small bite size that you need to do, right? Then define that ambitious yet realistic goals. Figure out the resources that you need to achieve what you want. Build capabilities for the next cricket. Then build the plan. And lastly, collaborate, collaborate, collaborate. Yeah? Collaboration is extremely important. I know it's the Insta generation, but still it doesn't collaborate as well as I thought it should have been, right? So when we are looking at, you guys, we are looking at people who would openly talk about your dependencies, and I'll come to that. Your dependencies, your problems, your hurdles to the teams on the other side and collaborate. That is what is meant by collaboration. When you work on projects, right, if you work on interdependent projects and you do not collaborate, what does that mean? What does that mean? Anyone? It means the chain would be broken somewhere, right? And if the chain gets broken somewhere, it means the entire project will fail. The entire project gets failed, right? So that's why I said collaborate, collaborate, collaborate. Building talent in team is extremely important. Clear view of your team and identify core versus non-core capabilities. What is exactly important for you? If you're building a digital medium and there's a non-core capability that needs to be built, for example, a tax for that, it's a non-core thing, right? You can get external resources to do that. Identify key skills and gaps, be responsible, energetic, and enthusiastic. This is also extremely important from a talent standpoint. Enthusiasm, right? And that's what we look from as a leader, that's what I look in all the teams that I am working with. How enthusiastic you are for the change that you're working for, right? And enthusiasm shows on the face. It's very clear. It just drips out of your face each time you talk about something. If you're looking at your phone right now, you're not enthusiastic about it, and I can see that. Right? So enthusiasm is extremely important. Clear and candid feedback, right? Feedbacks are not given at the quarter of or project end or annual appraisal any longer. Feedbacks are dot then and there where we're supposed to give, right? It'll be just after the meeting if the feedback has to be given, or just before an important presentation that you would be making, right? So people have to start getting used to taking feedback positively. That's another part of it. Lastly, most importantly, I can tolerate less skills, but I will never tolerate less or a bad attitude. Yeah, so that's a clear mantra. You don't know something, I'm fine with that. But the day you say, it's not my job, it's his problem, I don't want to do this, that is the problem, right? So, and when we are driving a large level change, these are not the people I would look for. I'm looking for enthusiastic people, I'm looking for people who will collaborate and build the change going forward. Yeah, so how do you do this? Faster, faster, faster is the mantra. Thankfully, we have systems to scale which makes us faster nowadays. And it's an instant generation, everything has to be now. The organizations also expect that. So from being agile to being agile, understanding to what it takes beyond basic to peak performance, right? How do you achieve that peak performance? Product and platform approach to build the next generation, identifying product owners who are effectively CEOs, business function areas, right? So there's a difference between product and platform. Any one of you? What is a product versus a project difference? Let me take a digression here. What is a product? Are you a project manager or a product manager? It's a classical debate which is happening. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, so he's saying, I'll repeat because project has a definitive end, product does not, it has iterations going on. And product solves a problem. Think about this. Do you want to solve a problem, or you want to just do an executable, like a scoped piece of work only? Or are you actually trying to solve a problem? It's a mindset. Project versus product. It's a mindset thing, right? Lastly, customer experience design, which is important, and this is the magic ingredient nowadays, specifically when we are looking at working on this too. I will skip this. This is too small, and I think there was a case study where the DBS Bank of Singapore, that is a Singapore bank, wanted to make banking joyful, right? We'll go on to straight questions. I will just delve on the key operating model designs. There's a digital factory model, there is a product platform model, and enterprise-wide agile model of doing changes. Digital factory is a separate digital unit. I'm reading it so you guys can pay some attention. So, digital unit that builds digital solutions. Product platform is the model, brings together the business, the technology, operations in pods focused on improving customers. Enterprise-wide agile extends the benefit beyond digital tech to as many core operations and functions, right? Depending on the context that your organization is, you choose the right model for this. Would you go for a digital factory? I'll give you an example. A very large bank, one of the largest banks in India, has a digital factory because it wants to build products outside its existing organization, because products are completely redefining how its products are built right now. So it's completely different approach of doing things. Another organization has a platform approach. It's built platforms across. It can be consumed across organizations. Across the organizations, so there will be, say, 10 channels, and those 10 channels will have this platform approach to doing this. Versus enterprise-wide, which is a very large change. Entire organization gets to work on it. It gets subsumed into it, right? Depending on the context that you have, you look at the operating model part of it. Any questions on this? I expect a lot of questions on this. If you have to change one thing about, for example, you had to do a more digital approach to management education suddenly, which operating model would you think would be the best here? 1, 2, or 3? No right or wrong answers. Yes, go ahead.
Option 3 in my opinion. It would be option 3 in my opinion.
Option 3, your enterprise-wide.
Yeah.
You change all the classrooms, all the people, everything together.
Yeah,
Okay.
because if we are planning to digitize the whole organization, we need a similar kind of technology in each classroom.
You'll create a virtual go-and-shoot of management.
Not that far, but still on those lines.
But?
On those lines.
On those lines. Okay, fair enough. That's fine. Anyone else want to take a stab at that? Think about it.
Sir, option 1 would be more feasible, digital library. And option 2, I think option 3 is little far-fetched, depending on how the institute is expanding.
So you want to create a completely separate unit giving digital classrooms.
Yeah, like a lot of people are nowadays pursuing MBA parallel with their jobs and all. So if the institute, the business decisions are taken as such, then why not option 3 in due course of
Fair
time?
enough. Nothing right and wrong. Somebody else had a raise their hand here. No? Similar thing? Okay. So guys, think about the frameworks in your current context and understand how the large change gets affected. And how easy is it to implement it? When you are looking at any initiative, there is a 2x2 of bang for the buck and the ease of implementation. You understand that, MBA students, right? Two axes, one axis bang for the buck, one axis ease of implementation, right? You plot it and you figure out which is the best way for your context. A lot of work is done in pods. Pods bring in multi-functionalities, multi-technologies, right? And they start creating those changes going forward, right? A pod, why is it called a pea pod? Anyone? It's a very interesting thing. You must have seen a pea pod, right? It's the vegetable that you eat, right? It's self-contained in itself. It delivers what it wants to. Yeah? So that's why it's a pea pod that you look at. It's self-sufficient, cross-functional team, and it delivers end-to-end. The complete delivery responsibility is with it. Right? So that's why you build up pea pod. For example, you are build up in the same concept. You have the management institute. You build up digital factory, for example, and you create a pod for delivering course on finance. So that pod will have people who will build that, who will know the content, who will build the technology on top of it, and who will understand how to implement it with the customer, right, on the journey part of it. So all the three are included in the pod. It could have 5, 10, 20, whatever number of people that need to, but they will be completely responsible for it. Yeah? Right, so this is classical consulting, but look at the problem to solve, solutions and use cases, what are the requirements for doing that, understand the impact and investments, and then build the implementation plan for this. And this goes, I can use this 5-pointer thing for anything in life, right? Even to solve your any personal issue also. Unless you articulate the problem, what is the unmet user need that you're trying to solve for? Be clear on the improvement lever that you want to activate to solve that problem. That is the first part of it. Solutions, identify digital solutions, underlying use cases to address that specific problem. Assess the data landscape, technology landscape that is required to solve that problem. And estimate the impact in terms of budget, cost, how it is going to be. And what is the investment that is needed for this. And finally, build the change management requirements and an implementation plan for this. Implementation plan can be of multiple types. Understood? Yeah? So in the same example, I'm just making this up right now. Same example, you want to do a virtual digital platform for management program in this organization. Right? You'll identify the problem, you'll identify which customer you're going after, what is his problem, what could be your solution to it. Will you build an app or will you build a website? What could be your solution? What is your technology requirements for it? Right? What is the money that is required and how would you go about implementing it? Would you first give one module or would you give the entire finance module to it? How would you go about implementing it? That's how you start thinking about this. Make sense? Any questions at this point? Okay. Good. Value harvesting is extremely important from our standpoint when we look at these space. So business domain, we get the levers. What is the lever that we want? Pick up a problem. How are you going to solve it? What is the solution for it? What is the use case models? And identify the use cases based on that. So, for example, you build a user journey for learning finance, okay? It is sizable enough such that the value from transforming it will be meaningful. It is finance. Second, the core business outcomes that are driven by the transformation. I'm reading this so you guys at the back can appreciate that, right? Are people writing notes? Oh, okay. It's okay, you can have the slide. It's okay. You don't bother about the notes. Core business outcomes that are driven by transformation or solution, then the solutions. Right? Solutions provide the value to the customer or the user, right? And the use cases. Solution is a typical composed of multiple use cases for this. कैसे आप उसको implement करोगे? Right? I just thought I'll get some consulting flavor on top of this. And then you look at the digital quotient. And I wanted to get this because a lot of people don't understand how digital is implemented, how it is assessed in an organization, right? And you look at the industry average, you look at your leader, what is your implication? What your roadmap is. Is it bold? Is it linked to business strategy? What is your executive alignment? That means what your leader is talking to what your manager is talking to what you're doing. Is it the same thing or not? That's what alignment means. Huh? It's a very big word, right? Let me tell you that. But it's extremely important to understand what alignment means. Then the business case for doing this. When I say business case, what I mean, the return on investment for doing this change. Then I have talent, which is leadership. What is my talent strategy? Should I hire more people? Should I outsource? Should I create a global competency center, or what should I do with it, right? What skills do I want, right? Do I want skills for Java data scientists, or should I need skills for regulatory framework, or should I need skills for the process, the core business process as well? So what are the skills, and how do I manage my things? Technology, yeah, a lot of things to be talked about in terms of what technology you want to implement. Data, what is your data vision? Are you going to get all your data from what is existing in the organization? Do you need external help for that data? How are you going to clean that data? Because data is not available in the right form, right? So how do you want to clean that data, right? How would you govern that data that in future there are checks and balances when the data gets ingested into the system? Yeah? And a lot of digital transformation projects fail because of data. A lot of them. Yeah? A very large bank, one of the largest banks in the world, could not get their data right. Their entire system was useless. Because they couldn't get to see, even if they had the system. Correct? So data, and to clean that data itself, it took them years together. Because here we are talking about data warehouses, data lakes, and with hundreds of terabytes of information, which is there. How do you go and clean them up? Then adoption of that, right? How do you scale? How do you scale it through a prototype? You scale it through a pilot. How do you measure the performance of that? How do you manage change? There will be always naysayers of the change that we are building onto. Ye nahi chalega. Cholbe na. This will not work. There are a lot of people. These guys don't know what they're talking about. This is what you hear a lot as as a leader when you're implementing a large change. They don't know how this industry works. I've worked in this industry for 20 years. They don't know how the industry works. Ye nahi chalega. This will fall flat. How do you manage this kind of a change? Right? As young managers, you will also have to manage a lot of this kind of a change that is going to come up. Yeah? Agile, I think, I wanted to get this slide up because a lot of people think that the way forward going is agile, but what actually it means, and most of these things are part of our work practice that we do. We do a lot of backlog refinement, sprint planning, daily huddles, reviews, sprint retrospective, extremely important, and QBRs, quarterly business reviews, as we call them. What kind of checks and balances and the process that we go through while building any change. That is very important, from daily to weekly to quarterly, across. Okay, that's done. Theory is over. Pens down. No more. So let me now talk about something that we have internally in our organization we are going through right now. This presentation, I request if you don't copy because this is personal in my company. I gave it to my own team. I didn't have time, so I thought I'll just pick that up. But at least it will give you a flavor of how we. So this was, I'll tell you. This is called project called Inspire. We are changing the entire insurance stack for the organization. That means it will change the way you work in the company. We are creating a virtual office in an organization. Completely virtual, end to end. Everything that you can do can be done on this digital platform. Right? So it's a very large change. Such kind of changes take years to do. We are ambitious enough to say it will take 2.5 years. All right. This presentation was in June. My first MVP was December. It was actually December 15th. Okay. MVP you understand, right? Minimum viable product. Right. My basic first part of it, first small part of it which was going live was December. Right? And this is what we spoke about. So the theme is Sholay. How many of you have not seen Sholay? Okay. I'll try and explain in between. Okay. This is my presentation to the team. मुझे गब्बर चाहिए, जिंदा. Yeah, so people who don't understand this means there's a guy, he is collected as a motley team, okay, and he says, I want the most famous dacoit to be captured and he should be captured alive. So that's the target that I gave to my team. Thankfully, I've deleted system process, I just deleted that. So this was the December piece that I spoke about. When I first told the team, they were like, it's not possible. I said, Gabbar to chahiye. And so coming back to, it has to be ambitious what you're trying to do. I wanted to do this in December. Business reasons, right? Q4 is extremely important for business. I had to focus on the running of the business rather than build of the business in Q4. Q4 in the financial year means? Q4 in the financial year means? Huh? Yes. It means Jan, Feb, March. So I wanted to do this before Jan, Feb, March. Because if I missed it in December, I would be so busy in Jan, Feb, March running the business that this would have gone pushed to Q1 of next financial year, that is April, May, June. So I would have already got an escalation of 3 months if I wanted to do this. So that was the December target that we wanted to do. I didn't write the names, but there were 10 systems which were going live in 6 months for this program. Some techies here, so I'll just rattle out. We were implementing a business process management system, a CRM system. We are implementing an incentive system with a master data management system. We are implementing a product configurator kind of a system. We are implementing a complete mobile platform, which is finally the top part of it. So on and so forth. And a unified data platform as well, right? Which meant I had to move my entire data from 2 data lakes and 1 data warehouse to Google. All this in 6 months. That's what my team said. So I said, team, we do this or we die together. Thankfully, they said we'll do this. And as a team, that's when I talk about enthusiasm, right? That's exactly what I said about enthusiasm. As a team, we decided no holidays till this goes live. No personal holidays till this goes live. And we all stuck together for all the time. There were personal problems, professional problems, all kept aside. Only one goal, in the morning, 10 a.m., Scrum. That's why I spoke about Agile, right? Only one problem, how do we go live in December? Everybody aligned only to that, nothing else. Nothing else. Kitne aadmi the? Right? So, when the dacoit, people who are, actually, why am I doing this? Guys, next to the guy who's not seen Sholay, no, just tell him no. So, he said, kitne aadmi? So how do you plan? I've left some names here, but anyways. Environmental dependencies. How do you press the pedal on some parts? How do you, I deleted those parts here because they were slightly company specific. Data shortcuts, SaaS platforms. Each and every technology that we are implementing had challenges. We had to identify dependencies across. Even for one single business process to cut through, there were 4 systems it had to cut through. So that means one single process of issuing a policy to a customer had to walk through 4 systems, had to go through close to 50 use cases. And each use case was implemented differently, had a different dependency across it. And while implementing it, we realized, oh, they don't talk to each other. How do we make them talk to each other? Right? So that's when we started looking at on-ground planning. How do we do this? Well, I like this because I always used to tell the guy who used to run the business process re-engineering thing for me, right? You know why tumhara naam kya hai Basanti means? Understood? He's asking the name of a person while saying the name itself, right? Tumhara naam kya hai Basanti? So the business process re-engineering typically happens like that. You have to sit with the stakeholder, understand his exact process, and then start redesigning it. So that's what it is. So we had to do, so then entire business process re-engineering was done. When we thought through the new processes, we had to make sure that those processes, which were still at a higher level, were translated into user stories. When you translate a business process re-engineering diagram, which is at level 3 at best. So there are 2-3 levels of diagramming process stories. Level 1, level 2, level 3. Level 1 is issue of a policy to a customer. Level 2 will be more detailed. Level 3 will be more detailed. So at least till level 3 we go for defining business process re-engineering. When we do that, You can imagine I have to ensure that I have, say, for a sub-process, 50 parts of that workflow diagram. Each will be translated to 200 use cases. I have to create a traceability of each of them from the process diagram to user stories, and user stories to development sprints to testing sprints, then go live. That's the build process part of it. And when we have a large organization, we have different viewpoints. We have different, so it's not that it's just a, you can imagine all 600 of you working on one project. You'll all come up with different templates, different process, different things to come out. How do you streamline all of them? It's exactly like that. Jail mein surang. This is the biggest risk to any change management. Dependencies. If you don't know your dependencies, you will always, your best of the plans can fall apart. So how do you build those dependencies? I had my own, these are very contextual, but loha garam hai, maar do hathoda. What is the right time to start implementing? You will never be 100%. You will never be 100%. You can't wait for perfection. You will have to take a call. I'm ready 75, move. That's the clear takeaway. There'll be issues around it. First 3 sprints have come, 2 are left. Test data for it is there. Design screens for one is not finalized, not signed off by the stakeholders. Rules engines, core tracks, these kind of things are something which happens very day to day on these kind of large transformation programs, completely. Story ends. We went live in December. 15 days delay, honest to all of you. Last 1 month, the team did not go home on Sundays. Last few days, team did not go home. 31st December, 11:30 in the night, me and my team working. But we went live. Only with one thing. Only with one thing. Oh, no, this is just an MVP. There's nothing around it. I've not gone live. It's a 2.5-year-old journey. Please don't. But what I wanted to bring to your notice is only one thing. The change agent that is sitting in all of us here. You are successful, you're not successful, depends on how enthusiastic you are, how open you are to change. What is the effort you're trying to build onto doing this? How much push you are able to give your own self to do those large changes. It's not one story. These things will keep happening in our lives. This is not the first time something like this has happened. Yeah, I open the floor to questions. And questions can be beyond transformation. Please, let's go ahead. Technology, change, team, people, fintech, VC, anything you can ask me. I work with startups and invest in them, so you can ask questions कि मैं startup में काम करूँ, because this is a favorite question of most of the people. मैं startup में काम करूँ या corporate में, right? You can ask those guys also.
Sir, in one of your slides, you show driving value from the product or service. But nowadays companies are facing that problem because everything we can gather, technology, people, work experience people, they can work. But how to get value from the product is the main part. So what are the factors or strategies we can use that can determine that we can get this value from the customers?
Value is a big word, yeah, I know. You can define it in multiple ways. Some people define value in monetary terms. If it is monetary terms, the business case for this program I'm saying, and the last program which I did very similar, was built before we implemented it. कि ये करने से ये benefit आएगा और इतना पैसा बचेगा या इतना पैसा additional आएगा. That is something we do before we start. Very clear. That is the value you drive at the start of it. Most of the large organizations, even when they implement technology, do something called a business value analysis. If I deep dive into my consulting part of it world, business value analysis defines exactly कि क्या benefit होने वाला है and translate to some kind of time benefit, productivity benefit, cost benefit or revenue benefit. Right? Once you define that, you're very clear what you are running after.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yes. I will repeat your question. Go ahead.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon. My name is Ninad. So first question, as you mentioned, you can also answer the query whether or not to work in corporates or startups. So that would be helpful, number one. And number two is when it comes to change management, balancing perspective.
एक एक करके ले. मेरा memory थोड़ा.
Okay. So the
working in startup versus corporate. It depends on you guys how much risk averse you are. If you're ready to take risks in your life, if you're ready to work with uncertainty, right? If you're ready to do anything that you're thrown at you, you might as well work in a startup, but be sure the startup is safe and secure. That is extremely important. It is not like it'll wind up in 6 months, right? Just ensure that. But if you don't want to do that, you want to look at a large organization, understand the process, work on the larger side of things, then a corporate is good enough for you. So it depends on your own bent of mind. You want to work on a startup or you work on a large corporate. Large corporate will give you very deep expertise in one small specific area. A startup will give you a very broad kind of an experience where you get to do almost everything, right? You'll have to open the shutter. From there onward, the work will start, right? You'll be making a strategy presentation for the founder. On the other day, you would be making a pitch to a customer. On the third day, you will be doing cold calls for a new customer, right? That kind of a breadth you will have. If the startup is decent enough. I can't vouch for all the startups in the world with what's happening. But if you don't like that, and there is uncertainty, right? You may be in marketing, maybe after 6 months you'll be in finance, maybe after 6 months you'll be in product, right? So there's complete uncertainty. You will pivot multiple times. If you are in corporate, you have a very structured program. You have a structured 3 months induction program. You understand the business. Then you have a structured program to understand the product, and then you know this is the specific channel you'll be assigned to, this is what the work is going to do, and goes on like that. Both of them have their positives and negatives. It's up to the people to decide based on their risk appetite.
Thank you, sir. And one more question. When it comes to transitions or change management, employee morale is also one of the major factors. So when there are major transitions happening within the company, how do we balance / manage employee morale as well? Because that is also very important during it.
Employee morale. You are what you bring to office. I can't change employee morale. If you're inherently not interested to work, I will not be able to change. Only thing I can do is communicate to you that our path is like this, what is needs to be done. Intrinsically, morale has to be better. Otherwise, you're not part of any good team. If you want, then you can be part of a large bureaucracy if you don't have a good morale to work on. And large bureaucracy, you can survive without a good employee morale also. And that's a practical tip. But I think as a manager, let me answer that question. As a manager, what you all can do, communicate. That is extremely important. You cannot motivate a person. That is why I said you are what you bring to office. You can only inspire people. There's a difference. Motivation, inspiration. Motivation is like मैं पीछे से धक्का दे रहा हूँ तुमको. It will end. After 2 months, 3 months, it will end. But if you get inspired, you have a jet engine behind you permanently. It will drive you to a goal. It will create a passion. It will give you the push intrinsically, right? Then you will not look for employee morale at that time, right? So try to look at inspiring people rather than motivating people, one. Number two, communicate. It is extremely important to communicate as managers. And a lot of people undervalue communication when it comes to management. Extremely important. Communication doesn't mean तुम अच्छे से बोल रहे हो. How do you connect to that person one-on-one? He's asking how is AI helping in insurance?
No, in predictive analytics, how is AI helping? Because earlier, with the help of Excel, there is a set of algorithms to make a decision tree and decisions. But with the advent of AI, how is it changing and how is it becoming better?
AI use cases, okay. Artificial intelligence is getting used from 5-6 years now. People started using pilots to start with. In banking financial services specifically, let's focus there. Manufacturing baad mein aate hain. Manufacturing obviously using a lot of stuff called digital twins for artificial intelligence and virtual factories, digital factories as it's called, right? But that's a different thing. Let's focus first on the banking and financial sector. Banking financial sector has adopted artificial intelligence in 5-6 key areas. One is in getting your customer in, right? Going to the right customer with the right product, right? Building the right recommendation engine and algorithm for that. Second is fraud prevention, specifically in banking financial services. Third is underwriting as such. When you're doing underwriting, that means you are assessing the customer for the risks and is he the right customer or not to give a lending or insurance to, right? Lastly, on collection models or persistency models as they are called that are built in terms of how do I reach out to the customer so that he pays me back or he renews his policy or he doesn't drop off his SIP, right? How does he do that? And also from on the exit standpoint, the prediction of exit of a customer, that also is being done from an artificial intelligence standpoint. These models have been deployed for more than 4 or 5 years across all the industries, right? So there are models which can predict, will you buy from me or not? There are models, that is the propensity model. There are models which will give you a bundle of products based on your specific needs. And there are models which can tell you, ki, in layman terms, I can tell you it's like, if you're taking a loan, मैं आपको call करूँ या SMS भेजूँ, या मैं आपके घर में किसी को भेजूँ to collect that loan back, right? So that brings the NPAs down, specific non-performing assets for a banking sector down. Those are the typical cases. I hope I've answered your question.
Hello, sir. I'm Sarbajit Ray from HCM program. So, sir, you actually spoke about the change and how you are going to implement it. And I'll also try to pick up your answer regarding the employee morale. So, sir, basically, when we talk about any sort of change, like it's a very inherent nature of like people in general, they resist the change. Now, owing to the fact that we always talk about a need and a want, like this is something maybe a change which the management wants, but how do you convey the message that this is the need that is right now we need this change? How do you convey this particular message? Because if you don't, I feel that if we don't convey the message that yes, it is the need, they will not be open to adopt to that particular change.
Completely with you on that. I think that's a basic part of leadership. Communicating the need for change. As a leader, it is extremely important. How do you communicate the need for change? Bring that urgency to change within the organization is part of a leader's job, right? If you look at any large organization, country, or anywhere, right, the leaders always gives a clear focus. We have to change. And the Prime Minister gave a very important focus, Atmanirbhar Bharat. It was a change. Very clear why we need to do Atmanirbhar. Very clear in everybody's mind. Right? So similarly, the need for change is extremely important to do that. There are multiple models to look at change management and to look at how do you drive that change. Awareness, design, asking advantages, giving knowledge skills to them, creating a feedback loop. These are standard steps of implementing a change in a large organization, typically. I just gave you a bit of theory on that.
Hello. Yes. So I had a doubt about the Scrum and Sprint meetings. So this might be a doubt that many of the new joiners, like software engineers, have. Those Scrum meetings that happen daily, are they really important? Because most of the people don't know why they are sitting there. And as we engineers, we get a work, and the sprint meeting will be around 30 minutes, Scrum meeting, and then it goes on for an hour or an hour and 15 minutes. It happens daily. But we are assigned a particular work, and that work continues for around 2 weeks. So why do we need to give the feedback every day? Is it that really important, is what?
Well, if the Scrum meeting goes for an hour, it's no longer a Scrum meeting, right? But I think Scrum meetings are best for 20 minutes at max if it's daily, not more than that. Scrum meetings are extremely important from an agile working standpoint because the team needs to collaborate every day, understand what all the people in the team are doing, what are the dependencies on each other, what are the timelines across each other to ensure that the entire project and the sprint gets delivered on time. It is important to keep the time very sacrosanct in a Scrum meeting, right? You can't extend it. So the rules of Scrum meeting is not to discuss a solution there. If you're discussing solutions in Scrum meeting, you're mixing the entire objective of the Scrum meeting. No questions on tech? No questions on fintech?
Sorry, sir, but because of time constraint, we can't take any further questions. Thank you, Rohit, sir. So before we conclude, I would like to take a moment to reflect on what's an incredible journey it has been so far at PRABODHAN 2025. We successfully wrapped up our day one, where we conducted Tark, a dynamic challenge where participants got to work as a consultant, tackling real-world business problems. Alongside, we hosted Curiosity, our national-level operations and consulting quiz, which received an overwhelming response with over 1,000 registration and 400 participations. As we move to day two, we are all set to conduct the final round of Continuum, our national-level case competition, which saw 300 plus participation and over 30 case submission from colleges all over India. Following that, we have Beer Game, an exciting supply chain simulation that will test participants' decision-making and operational efficiency. With that, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to Rohit sir for sharing such an invaluable insights and taking this time to engage with us today. Your expertise in leveraging technology for business growth has truly inspired all of us. I would now like Manas sir to present a token of appreciation to Rohit sir. With that, we conclude this session of Tantra Talk. Thank you all for being such an attentive and enthusiastic audience.